Hi, good afternoon. This is Jerry Carter with the Sierra Crest Business Law Group. It's a pleasure to be with you. One question that a lot of clients come to me with is the question of whether it's better to settle a business dispute or a business disagreement out of court or whether it's better to go to court. And obviously the answer to that question is going to depend on a lot of different variables and circumstances, but I'd like to address some of the general considerations that go into thinking about how or whether to posture a dispute for settlement versus press the dispute into court. First of all, when we're talking about business disputes, they come in all shapes and sizes. Some disputes are pretty simple in that you believe you're owed money by somebody else and you're trying to collect that money. The other person either can't pay or won't pay or is throwing up some other resistance. Other disputes involve something that you believe someone needs to deliver to you, some product or service that they haven't followed through on. You could have a problem in your business where someone is harming your business, maybe by competing unfairly against your business or by taking customers in an inappropriate manner. You could be involved in a contractual arrangement where you feel like the other side is not living up to their side of the bargain. And you could be in any other kind of dispute. If you're involved in business, you're involved with people, and if you're involved with people, there are going to be misunderstandings and disagreements. All right, so that's kind of a flavor of some of the disputes that we might be talking about. What does a settlement, an out-of-court settlement, look like? Well, that's going to depend on the dispute, but usually an out-of-court settlement is going to be something you would call a compromise. A compromise is obviously where you don't get everything that you're asking for, the other person or other business doesn't get everything they're asking for, you settle somewhere in the middle. Sometimes it'll be on a walk-away basis where each side just agrees to drop their dispute and walk away from it. Nobody pays anybody money. Sometimes one side will pay the other side money. Sometimes one side will agree to do something for the other side, perform some service, deliver some product, redo some work, what have you. Sometimes the parties will resolve their dispute by agreeing on a way to move forward cooperatively, and they might turn a seeming business problem into a great opportunity, a business opportunity for both sides. Any kind of settlement that you have is going to involve an exchange of releases. A release is a legal term for someone, saying in writing, I'm not going to sue you over this dispute. And you typically, although there are even exceptions to that, typically you'll want to walk away with some kind of a promise from the other side that your disagreement is totally resolved and you're both moving forward with peace, because that's one of the things you bargain for, is to get some peace and to be able to move forward with your business. Now, so that brings us to the question of, well, do I try to resolve my dispute out of court or do I press it in going to court? And the simple answer is, of course, you would do everything you can to resolve a business disagreement as early as you can, because it's not going to get any better or get any easier to resolve if you just let it fester. So if there's an option to resolve it out of court, then, without the necessity of going to court, then you would obviously take that option. Sometimes the option is not there and you have to kind of create the option, and that's what the courts are for, is to help you do that. So let's talk about some of the considerations that go into deciding when and whether to settle or resolve a dispute out of court. And it's a lot like shopping for clothing or a car, in that every person on the planet has a different combination of objectives and desires. And so, your objectives for your business may not be the same as John Doe's objectives for his business or Jane Doe's objectives for her business. And so the first thing to consider is, what are your objectives? And for me, they usually boil down to one of three things, or a combination of three things. The first would be money. How is this problem in your business affecting you financially? And where are you financially? Where are you trying to get your business financially? And how's the problem affecting you financially? The second consideration, type of objective, would have to do with time. How much of my time is this problem wasting? What could I be doing with my time if I wasn't dealing with this dispute or this business problem or this person who's not paying me? And so, how valuable is your time? And then the third type of objective that some of our clients are going to see, I would put under the category of reputation. But basically, how is this problem affecting my standing in the world? How is it affecting me as a business owner, how other businesses view me, how customers view me? How is it affecting how I view myself? How is it affecting how my family views me? What do I want to be remembered for? What are my values? What do I want to stand up for? And so that's, there are a lot of different ways to the reputational concerns come up inside of a person, but that's one of the three things that may be important to you is your reputation in the business community. And so those things need to be, those things should be considered very thoughtfully, because that's going to dictate your path forward. Another consideration in terms of settling a dispute is, how far along is the dispute? Is this something at the beginning stages where you suspect that there might be a problem, but you haven't really even talked to the other side or the other person? Or is this something that is breathing fire down your neck and keeping you up at night? You need to know how far along the dispute has gone, and relatedly, how urgent is the situation? Does it need to be solved, on a scale of 1 to 10? Does it need to be solved in this next week? Does it need to be solved in the next month? Does it need to be solved in some time within the next couple of years? That's going to make a difference. It may seem a little ironic, but typically, in my experience, the greater the urgency, the more pain the problem is causing. Typically, at least, if nothing else, the easier it is to focus on it and bring it to a head and get it resolved. I'm not giving you a commercial for ignoring problems until they're so large that they can't be ignored, because as you know, if you talk to me at all or listen to any of my materials, the sooner you make a decision to address the problem that's causing you pain, the more options you're going to have, and the cheaper they'll be to put into place. And so consider that, how far along is the dispute. And then another consideration that will be important is getting an understanding of the pros and cons of your position. Knowledge is, if not power, it's potential power, because knowing the pros and cons of your position can help you take action that will maximize your potential. And then obviously another consideration is, what is the cost, the cost of going to court versus resolving a dispute out of court. I'd like to share with you 5 things that a good business attorney can do for you that will help you in a business dispute or problem that you may be experiencing, whether it be trying to collect money from somebody or warding off some demand from somebody else. The first thing a good business attorney can do is help you assess the pros and cons of your position, including your legal position. And that's really, valuable information, just to know how the courts and other attorneys will see uh, where your position is. The second thing a good business attorney can do, which is even more valuable, is give you perspective. I know from being in disputes myself and representing people, business owners who are in disputes, sometimes it's easy to get into sort of a tunnel vision, get locked in to your position, and sometimes even develop an emotional attachment to your position. That can prevent you from effectively resolving it sometimes, and so it's super valuable for an attorney to take a look at your position, who's not so attached to one way or the other, and give you an impartial view of where you really stand, or point out things that you may not have considered, or raise questions that are important to really understanding your dispute. You may talk to an attorney and realize you have a bigger problem than you thought, or that you have more options than you thought. Any number of things could happen, but that additional perspective is going to be valuable. A third thing a good business attorney can do for you in a dispute is write a good demand letter or a good response letter when you've received a demand from somebody else. And it's easy to underestimate how important that letter can be, because it's a letter that's going to lay out your position, summarize it, and put your best foot forward. And a lot of times, you'll be surprised, a lot of times in that process of exchanging a demand letter or giving a demand letter, you get someone's attention and they understand you're serious, and the dispute can be resolved at that point. And so that's something that's important that a good business attorney can do for you to help you resolve a case or a dispute before even going to court. Another thing a good business attorney can do for you is give you a preview of the dispute resolution process and talk about what going to court would look like, how that would affect you monetarily, how that would affect you emotionally, and in terms of the time commitment and how long it would take to resolve through the courts. You can take your individual circumstances and walk through them with a business attorney so that you can take a look, gaze into the crystal ball, so to speak. And then lastly, number 5 is the attorney can not only help you resolve the dispute that's happening in your business right now or the problem that's happening, but a good business attorney will have a conversation with you about how to prevent similar problems from coming up in the future. And so you'll really kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You'll be able to work on the current dispute while also fortifying your business and making it stronger in terms of avoiding future disputes. So if any of these things that we've discussed in terms of resolving disputes out of court apply to you, or you recognize some of the situations we've talked about, I would love for you to reach out to a business attorney that you know. You're welcome to talk with us and sit down and talk about the individual circumstances that are happening in your business so that we can have a strategy session and decide what the best path forward is for you. You can reach us at the Sierra Crest Business Law Group at 775-448-6070. Again, 775-448-6070. And we'd love to have the opportunity to strategize with you. Thanks.